Parker Maynard is the supervisor of Grow Urban Farm in Youngstown. I had the privilege of talking with him today about the rewarding and advertising work he and his group are doing to provide opportunity, empowerment, and freshly grown produce to the community. His passion comes through loud and clear as he describes their work and his desire to help people through training and nutrition. So without further delay, let's start this show.
This is Scott Fain with the Youngstown Lifestyle Podcast, and my guest today is Parker Maynard, the Grow Urban Farm Supervisor. How are you doing today, Parker?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. We had a little bit of a back and forth before we got on the call. I'm very happy to be talking with you because I know you're busy and you got a lot of things going on. The last time we spoke, you were promoting the orientation that you guys were doing at the beginning of March and in February. Can you tell us a little bit about how the orientation, what happened and, how it went?
Sure. Yeah. So the last we spoke, we were getting set for an orientation out in Trumbull County in Warren, Ohio. That is the next phase of Flying High's expansion. We're funded to service the Mahoning, Columbia, and Trumbull County. So as we expand our services, Trumbull County is the next spot. And so we've been working with Ohio Means Jobs. They've got a classroom there with computers available where we've been inviting folks to come in and basically hear all about our program. And so it went great. We had a packed house, and I think we ended up signing up probably 8 individuals for our welding school. We got some CDCA candidates, chemical dependency counselor assistants, and also some STNA, State Tested Nurses Assistant Program individuals signed up for that. So it starts with, I think we explained it in the last podcast last time we spoke, but we got people in some breakout groups, and they got to ask some specific questions about the different vocational tracks we have. And, yeah, a lot of great energy there.
And just as a reminder, because this may be the first time someone's hearing from you, give us a nutshell as to what Flying High is about. I really love the message you guys are doing. Like, tell us really quickly what it's about, and then we can get to our talk today.
Sure. It's workforce development. It's all about helping people discover their potential and earning power through our vocational training program. So we've got individuals that are coming from a lot of different diversity of backgrounds. We have people who are just maybe unsatisfied with their job. They want options. We have people that are coming out of the criminal justice system, people who are walking out their recovery process. And Flying High provide the starting point for anybody in any position in their life. We don't turn anybody away. If you come in and you're not able to provide a clean drug screen, we're going to get you working with our AOD, alcohol and other drug counselors, and our NAT program, NAT Nutritional Assisted Treatment Program. So we'll get you some supplements. We'll get you some, education on foods that can get the body and the mind back to its vital state. So then we can transition you into vocational training. We have a welding school, 16 weeks. You got your certs, and we've got you an interview with one of our 30 employers. Same thing with welding school, a little bit longer period of time. And then we have our State Tested Nurses Assistant Program. So there's a healthcare track, and that includes the CDCA Chemical Dependency Counselor's Assistant. For those of you, there are a lot of individuals I'm finding that have either witnessed or helped a family member or friend through their recovery or their own personal recovery, and they want to pass on the skills and the knowledge and their own awakening to another person, and they want to provide peer support, which is actually another vocational track we've just added, is a peer support specialty. So we're offering absolutely. And so we're offering opportunities to build your experience in the professional environment here in our office. We just added an internship program. So we graduated, I want to say 14 or 15 CDCA students in our first CDCA class, and of those, there were like 5 or 6 that hadn't yet attained employment since they graduated. And so we've created an internship program for folks to build their resume through our organization, work with some of our clients, and we're stewarding them toward, a higher level of employability and then connecting them with some of our employers in that process. So, we stay with you until you're ready to fly.
Well, I appreciate all the stuff you guys are doing. It's just, you describe it on paper, it just sounds really, really wonderful. And I can tell from just talking with you that you have a lot of passion and energy toward the work that you're doing. Now, my first question to you, when I first heard that you worked with the Grow Urban Farm, that's the question I had, is like, what is an urban farm? Because it puts me in mind of when we were working out of Detroit, you hear a lot of there's a lot of people who are like reclaiming some abandoned neighborhoods and tearing down houses and instead turning some of that stuff into farmland, into gardens for the community. Is it something like that, or like what is the Grow Urban Farm if you had to describe it to someone?
So I've been involved with farming in a traditional sense. Your kind of country farming, I guess. You want some ground, you put the plow down and open it up and do some tilling and larger crops, larger expanses of area. So it was when I did some of the studying to develop a curriculum to teach urban farmer training course, it was really great for me to realize that farming really started in cities. The first farming was urban farming. When people started to gather together, they started to sow their crops in and amongst their towns and their homes and their businesses. And so the beginning of civilization, the farming is urban farming. It's where the people are. It's not till later advancements in fuel and machinery, tractors and combustion engine, that farming starts to move out into rural areas and large expanses of land. So it's really, an urban farm brings farming back to its core, its roots, which is people living in and amongst the agricultural systems that sustain life. And that awareness, that connection is powerful and profound in kind of empowering people to kind of be the change and create the change that they want to in their community. So if anybody brings up any ill of the world, from my perspective, it can all be solved with urban farming.
It makes sense what you're describing. If you have a city and you're building a small town, why would you put your farm way out? Your farm would be right there on your property. So that makes a lot of sense when you say it. It's just not something you think about. We're so used to living in the city where all the greenery is off to the side. So now, if I'm someone who's interested in joining you with Grow Urban Farm, what kinds of activities specific to that would you be doing? Like, what types of programs and activities would you be participating in?
Sure. So, flying high, it encompasses, I would say, 4 different branches. I just want to break down, mentally for you, and visually if I can. We have the PDC, Professional Development Center, which includes GED completion, job readiness training, and the vocational training. We have the recovery portion of it, which includes the NAT, nutritionally assisted treatment, our 12-step, we use some 12-step principles in there, licensed nutritionist, and then we've also got the AOD, alcohol and other drug intensive outpatient. Okay, so those are geared toward the health of the individuals that are coming through some sort of recovery process, and then we've got our Eagle's Nest Recovery House as well. So we like to think of those more as like a dorm or an area where people are going to stay as they're both recovering and entering vocational and completing vocational program. So the other leg here is Grow Urban Farm, which is part of the Working Toward Your Future program. So Working Toward Your Future is the big heading. If you were to come into our program, you have to start with our orientation. So you come in and you sit through, a short presentation about what we offer, and then we do a breakout session. Maybe you choose healthcare. Maybe you choose advanced manufacturing with the welding or the machining, and you answer some questions there. Then you complete 2 short professionalism classes that address behavior in the workplace, some things like getting your credentials in line on a resume and just some professionalism stuff. So you check those off, and now you're going to go into some case management. You're going to schedule a case management session, and in that session, there's going to be an assessment. If you aren't currently working or you're just part-time employed and you would like to get some job readiness training or make a stipend to help support you while you're going through the vocational training, then we would see if working towards your future is a fit. And Grow Urban Farm is part of that working towards your future program. So once we find out, this is a fit, we have a $25 a day stipend available to you, and that's not, it's really not about the money. I mean, you'll find out very quickly that that's going to help you basically attend, get there. Snack, lunch, bus pass, fuel, whatever you need to make sure that you can stay engaged. And then, meet with me briefly. We'll talk about a schedule. Currently, we're running Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So those are 5-hour days, $25 stipend for each 5-hour day worked. Get paid on 2-week cycles. And it's about accountability, and it's about communication, attitude, aptitude, attendance. Those are the three: attitude, aptitude, attendance. So we want to, it's a great time for anybody to focus in on their own attitude. It's not about necessarily, it's like changing. What we want to do is kind of change this attitude of I have to do this to I get to do this. So
yes, changing your perspective.
Change the perspective. We want to give those opportunities. So we do plant propagation by seed, and we raise plants in our greenhouse, and we cultivate. So we make sure that the soil is prepared correctly with the right nutrients, and we do weed prevention. I don't like to spend my time in the garden weeding. Pulling weeds is not my idea of a good time. So we do a lot of management of the soil and the crops so that we avoid a lot of that. We have irrigation practices that we do, harvesting, cleaning, packaging, washing and packaging, and then we do marketing. And for some people, that's the best part. We have some individuals that really enjoy just getting out in the community, selling vegetables, and so we.
Are you talking about marketing the actual vegetables, marketing the vegetables for sale? Is that outside of the market days that you guys have?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So this year is a really exciting year. We're partnering with Action, which they're actually longtime partners of Flying High. Action is an organization. It's a consortium of 13 churches in the city, and we are joining with them. They're going to help us with pop-up markets in the downtown and surrounding neighborhoods in town. So give you a quick idea of where we're going to be. Starting May 2nd, we'll be on the north side, Mount Carmel, and we'll be there in the evening for Actions. They have an event there on May 2nd. And then starting June 7th, every Friday, we'll be in a different location rotating throughout the city. So I'm going to give you a list of those so that you can publish them on your site, make them available. But just to give you an idea, we'll be at downtown Federal Plaza every other week, and in between those weeks, we'll make our rotation through town. So, we'll kick off June 7th downtown Federal Plaza out in front of Chase Bank, weather permitting. If the weather's not good, we just move it inside. But we'll definitely be there. And then we'll be on the south side on the 14th, Newport Library. And then back to Federal Plaza on the 21st. The 28th, we'll be out at Arlington. The 5th is a holiday weekend. We won't be operating that Friday, but back to it on the east side on the 12th, Rockford Village. Then we'll be back to Federal Plaza, and then Grace Evangelical on the west side. So I'll send you the list, but I just keep in mind that we're going to be rotating into neighborhoods where people live.
The urban market, the market that you're talking about right now, you guys will be selling all of the vegetables and things that you prepared, or grew?
Yeah. So we're growing all the vegetables to supply those markets, although we have formed a relationship with Aunt Julie's, which is a well-known family-ran vegetable farm which will be supplementing some high volume. So we grow only some cabbage. Cabbage takes a lot of space to grow. And so we know that there's a high demand for cabbage. There's a high demand for a few other things. Fruit, we don't grow fruit, but we partnered with another local farm, Huffman's Orchards, for peaches and apples, and pears, plums, and
that sounds good.
Yeah, man. So we're working with some very local farms, so it's still super fresh and naturally grown, and so we're excited to bring that volume to our market because we are a small farm. We operate on 1.5 acres. So to be able to partner with these other local growers is it's exciting, and it gives us a whole level of confidence whenever we're doing this outreach into the communities. And so that's an exciting part for our students. You know, and if we could transition to talking quickly about Growing You Urban Ag Leadership Program.
Oh, please. You had mentioned this. Tell me a little bit more about that, the Growing You. What is that, the leadership program?
So I think the idea is I just told you how our students and how clients of Flying High can engage in Grow Urban Farm. But this Growing You Ag Leadership Program is really about anybody showing up on in their time between, you know, working and taking care of their families and that kind of thing, that want to engage and help on the farm, learn some things, and receive a discount. So, you know, it's exciting that Grow Urban Farm is at the stage where we've built a strong enough foundation that we can reach out and we can bring people from the community onto the farm for programming. We've got events and celebrations that we want to include people in, you know. And so this Growing You Urban Ag Leadership Program is really how to do it. So I know that we'll post the flyer alongside this podcast, but I want to let people know that we have that opportunity. So if you were just to call, you know, me directly at 330-208-2595, you can become a volunteer, receive a 10% discount on your purchases through us, and be a part of the team, you know, and learn a lot and things that you can take home in your own gardening efforts. And yeah, so it's not just for our students. We're opening up to the community.
Well, as far as just the food that you're growing, you said you're a small farm. I'd heard that you were expanding a little bit. Is that still on the table?
Yeah. So I know that you would take some interest because you do some work in the area of real estate. So Michigan State University came out, and I just saw these guys with tablets, and they were walking around the neighborhood, and they looked really excited, and I'm just like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they said, you know, we're plotting the land use of all this vacant land, all these, you know, properties out here. And they said, what are you guys doing? And I said, well, we're growing vegetables. This is an urban farm. And he said, that's great. In previous studies, we've really ranked urban farming high in appropriate land use for deurbanized areas or you know, areas with a lot of blighted properties or delinquent landowners. And because with a very little input, very little capital, you can create jobs and some revenue from this ground, you know. So it was really interesting to me that they identified areas like north side of Youngstown and surrounding areas as prime ground for developing in agriculture. And so right across from the farm, right across Bissell Avenue, Kensington Avenue, it took a while. It took a year of really trying to find out who owned this ground, and ultimately the land bank got involved and they helped us in completing the purchase of 5 adjacent lots that
nice.
Homes had already been demolished. And so we're looking into getting a fruit production, small fruit, probably berries, raspberries.
Oh, that's great. Like raspberries, strawberries?
Strawberries. Oh, yeah, strawberries. And so we've got some work ahead of us. Hopefully this year it's finalized. We've tested the soil. We're going to have to test for lead. There's a lot to do when it comes to urban farming to make sure everything's safe. But once we do, then we'll take the route, the strategy necessary to make sure that we're growing the best quality, that anybody could desire.
It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun for one thing, and then just beauty of all that greenery, in the city is going to be really cool to see. As we start to wind down, I remember last time I gave you a random question. This one's a little bit nicer, but I think it's right up your alley. Now, in your experience, what's the easiest vegetable that people should be growing in their yard to save money at the grocery store?
Okay. Man, Swiss chard is the champion. Unlikely hero of the garden, but Swiss chard. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I haven't
heard of
eaten
chard?
a bunch of it. Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so if you like spinach, you
I
can
do.
come to like chard. If you like greens, collard greens, kale, that kind of thing,
I do.
Okay. But Swiss chard is so easy, and it's beautiful. It's almost like ornamental. There's a variety called Bright Lights, which is another great. It's a great song too. Bright Lights, Big City. But anyhow, it's bright yellow and red and orange and pinkish, and and so it's a leafy green, but it grows. I always said it's just the most prodigious plant out in the garden. There was one that had seeded itself, like volunteer seed fell and then it sprouted. I said, oh, hey, look, there's a little Swiss chard. We let it grow, and it turned into like the farm mascot, like a pet. It was huge. It was like a baby dinosaur. It was huge, and we would just trim the bottom leaves and let the top ones unfurl. The new growth comes out of the very top of it, and you just keep taking the bottom leaves off of it, and it just keeps growing. And from now, let's say mid-April to the end of November, it's still popping out growth from the same plant, the same single plant, and you just chop it and throw it in your sautés, throw it in soup. It adds a nice liquor or broth, to your soups and your sautés or whatever. It's a superfood.
You give me something to think about.
Dude, iron, minerals, vitamins, it's a superfood by any measure, and I'm all about it, man. I like to preach on some Swiss chard. That's the one.
So that's one of those things. I went to culinary school for a bit, and I also love going to nice restaurants. That's one of my things. Like, you go to for my birthday, I don't need presents. Just take me someplace nice to eat.
Yes.
And so I've eaten it, but it's one of those things where you don't see it at the grocery store very often. Mm-hmm. And most people don't, if you're not brought up on it, you just bypass the stuff that you're not familiar with. It's just these days you can, Google and say, okay, what is this? And how do I use this? But not everybody does that. So thank you. I'm going to be seeing if I have any Swiss chard seeds over here at the Walmart.
Very simple to grow. Very simple to grow. Mm-hmm. Grab some seeds and have at it. Do a border in your front yard. It's beautiful. It's bright, and it's almost like an ornamental, and everybody will be stopping. What is that? Hey, try it. Eat it. You're not going to want to eat it raw, though. You're going to want to chop it and cook it a little bit. Raw, it's got a little bit of a bittery kind of after flavor thing that is just not, but as soon as you put some heat to it, steam it, wilt it, it gets super smooth and rich flavor. And I'm telling you, what the world needs now is more chard.
Well, I think I'm gonna cap us off at that one. That's a good ending line. What the world needs now is a little Swiss chard. I'll take that.
Make a t-shirt.
Well, thank you again, Parker, for speaking with me today. I really enjoyed our conversation. I hope some people learned a few things from our conversation, and I look forward to talking with you again and seeing you on one of these outings when I come out to Youngstown. I definitely want to drop by and check out your farm.
Mm-hmm. That's you or anybody listening. Stop at the farm, 77 Bissell Avenue. That's Youngstown, Ohio, 44505. Best time to catch me is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 2. You'll see me and the crew out there working. The moment you get there, you're learning. You're taking in some new process on growing the best vegetables that anybody could desire. And it's just, it's beautiful out there. And once we get our flowers going, we have pollinators, butterflies. It's all good things.
I love that.
So you are welcome. Anybody listening is welcome to stop out and see what's going on.
Well, it sounds like a very appealing invitation. Thank you, sir.
All right, man.
And thanks for joining me.
All right. Thank you.
You have a great one.